What's good, guys, and welcome back to an episode of Paradise Springs. In today's episode, we're going to be working on our downtown. This little peninsula that we haven't really explored too much. We're going to go ahead and finish it. We're going to zone out everything, bring in some really high density buildings, and really just flesh it out into an awesome downtown area. If you're excited for today's episode, leave a like, subscribe. Thank you guys for everything. Let's get into it. What's good, you guys? We are back with another episode of Paradise Springs. And guys, today we got a big problem we got to figure out first. But after that, I do want to build a medical system, because look at this. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is ridiculous, man. We definitely have to add in a hospital today, but to do so, what we're going to do is expand finally into this small little piece of land down here, and we're gonna build out some big high density areas and all this other stuff down here as well. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We just recently dropped a big episode. We're gonna be turning to level 10 city in like no time, probably like a very short time actually. For now, we're just gonna start building. We're gonna buy these tiles up. Yep, we're gonna buy these 4 tiles for now, which is gonna cost us 926,000 with 131,000 a month. Let's get to it. Now keep in mind, we're going with a very unorthodox downtown area. Like the shape of it is very unorthodox. I just want it to be extremely interesting. I want it to be like a downtown that like kind of fits the area instead of it being like just something random. So we're gonna try to retain the grid system, but not have it be so organized as you would see in some other examples. It kind of just fits the area instead. So I'm making sure to keep extremely cognizant of the fact that it needs to have some form of grid system, even though it's a loose version. Something like this is probably too wavy or too sporadic for a grid system. So we're gonna go back and refine this side, even though I'm really liking how this side is shaping out. It still just needs a little bit more work until it's done. As you can see, also, we're limiting the amount of connections to the main road. Alright, so in the process of building, we've reached small city, which is our next major milestone. We've gotten 250,000 in money, 10 development points, and 15 new expansion permits, which is honestly going to be really cool. We're going to unlock some stuff too in the progression panel, but just not right now. We're going to try to finish up our grid first, and then we're going to come back to this. All right, so we're gonna use another expansion permit just to buy this last little piece, even though it's a little bit of a waste, I'm not gonna lie, to buy this. I just wanna make sure I can finish off this little grid piece down here. So it's some nitpicky stuff, but we're gonna buy it. All right, and that is our downtown zoned up. Honestly, it looks great. And our first order of business, obviously, has got to be the hospital, because I mean, look at all these waiting for ambulances that's out here. It's getting pretty ridiculous. Let the simulation run just to accumulate some more money. All right, so our next important piece of business, of course, is our medical system. But before that, actually, while I'm thinking of it, we need to make a train station that's going to connect up this area before we start putting down too much in our downtown. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to extend this out and take our double train track. All right, we're just going to carry this down all the way through our downtown. All right, and our train station, I think, is going to be, I want it to be kind of down here. So let's go ahead and just put it right here. And this would be our last train station for the area. So I just want it to be kind of like central. It's pretty in the middle of the downtown area, and it's going to connect from this train station, and basically it's going to connect most of our city right here. So it's going to be a really defining train station. So we're going to make it a medium. I wouldn't make it a large one, but it's really no point, because there's not really much connections that's going to be happening past this. So we're going to go ahead and plop this down, and then let's fix our tracks. All right, so I think that's good enough to connect our train stations, because we don't want our train stations too close. And I mean, I could fit two between here and there, but I don't want it to be something to where it's like we're ignoring other main staples of transportation. I think for now, I think this train station is perfectly fine. Only problem is I'm gonna have to move this over a little bit, because I don't like how this is like touching the road. All right, and there is our train station right in the heart of our downtown. And we'll decorate this a little bit later, but for right now, it looks great. It's gonna do a hell of a job. All right, as you guys should know, the next step is to do our services, which top of our priority list is our hospital, which is gonna be expensive. It's $1.8 million, but I mean, just look at our healthcare. It's absolutely horrid. This is going to be a complete game changer. It's going to fulfill most of the demand that we need, and it's going to be probably one of the biggest projects that we could do that's going to help this city in the long and short run. I think right here would be perfect. And boom. Sure, every citizen in our city is going to be over the moon with this build. We're not going to do any upgrades yet. We're going to wait to see exactly what we need and then upgrade from there. But this should be awesome. It's going to definitely make our happiness go up and take care of all that like healthcare coverage that we just didn't have before. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get to work, and we're going to go ahead and start building out our downtown area. We're going to start zoning it up. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be pretty cool. So I want this to be a mix of course, big office buildings. So our high density offices, our huge high density housing, a lot of mixed housing, and of course, a lot of high density businesses. So we're just gonna keep going through, and we're gonna add in a lot of area. best tips I can give for building a downtown is just kind of take your time. Like, just try different buildings. I usually go my high density first, and I kind of scale back as I go through. Also, keep in mind what kind of shape you want to create with your downtown. A lot of time you want it to be a gradual increase. So you want it to be a gradient. You want it to be kind of like lower buildings into really high buildings. So you want it to be like low, medium, high, as an example, right? But you want to mix up some of the zoning in between to give an illusion of like a gradient. So as you guys can see, we're just slowly kind of filling out where a lot of our stuff's going to be at. So don't forget about your high density businesses and your low density businesses, because you still need things like boutiques, gas stations, supermarkets, restaurants. Also keep in mind, you also need high density businesses to facilitate these bigger places where people are going to be staying at. So a lot of time, high density business is going to be so much more beneficial to you in really dense areas like this. So you can see our first big building kind of coming in. I like to keep a lot of my high density businesses on my main strip and try to not deviate too much from that. Another thing to keep in mind is, can the street that you're putting this big, huge, humongous building on, can it facilitate the traffic that will be generated by a building of that density? That kind of plays into some realism, and it will help you create an area that looks more realistic instead of it just being like a bunch of huge buildings built on alleyways, because it's like, when would you ever in life see that? So I would suggest to kind of like space it out and give your city something to where it looks more dynamic by kind of feathering in these bigger buildings on major streets, such as you see here. This is a major street. This is, of course, my main strip. And of course, you have this other major street. So I'm kind of keeping my high density, like my biggest buildings on these roads. Because in places like New York, you wouldn't typically see your biggest buildings on small little alleyways. Another thing not to forget about is your parking. Parking is important, especially for downtown areas. I mean, if you live anywhere with a downtown, you're gonna know that parking spaces are extremely important. You need these places to facilitate all the people who live there. And if they don't have anywhere to park, that's extremely problematic for a realistic city. So one of the things we're gonna go spend our development points on is a underground parking building. That's going to allow us to have a lot of people in one space for parking, instead of creating a million parking lots all over the city, even though we're still going to make more than usual in a downtown area. Also, keep in mind, because you're expanding, that also is going to mean you're going to have more requirements for things like electricity and power, because you're adding in so many people to your city. So keep in mind, where's your electricity and where's your power at? Also think about how those things will need to expand to help with the new people who are coming into your city, because your population is going to boom. And because of what we just talked about, I'm going to buy a fire station. What are development points? So we're going to unlock that. We're also going to unlock a police headquarters, our welfare office, and also City Hall. All right, so first order of business is our welfare office. We need things that are going to be able to help the less fortunate, because we want to kind of not have as many people who are homeless living in the city if rent is a little bit too high and they don't have a way to pay for things. We don't want them crowding down our downtown and kind of making it difficult to live. So we're going to put a welfare office downtown, which is going to help those who are less fortunate have somewhere to sleep and just increase the well-being in the area. All right, so we're going to place our welfare office right here and extremely close to the heart of our downtown. This is a very cool building. It's kind of cool, kind of like over here on the side. Next up is our crematorium. People are eventually not going to live forever, so we're going to have somewhere for them to get picked up and go to when they do pass away. So we're going to make our crematorium. Maybe a good space for this city would be right here. The crematorium location may change later, but for now it's just gonna stay there. All right, so first of all is our elementary school, which is pretty good size. We're gonna place it right down here. It's pretty urban. It's gonna fit into our area very nicely. We also have our city high school, which we're gonna put probably very close to it. I think right here, right next to it. Between those two, we're gonna put a parking lot. All right, and there is our elementary and our high school. Next up is fire rescue. So we could either put a city firehouse, which is going to do the job for now. So I think we're gonna go that route. Looks like it fills everything we kind of need to do. And plus we just don't have the area or the money for a fire station right now. So we're gonna put our city fire station right here because we want it to be in a pretty central location. We want it to be able to get to our city in a jiffy. Lastly is our city police station, which I believe you should put a lot of your fire stations and your police stations very close to each other. So I'm just gonna put it right here next to it. Next, we're gonna add in our Parks and Recreation downtown as well. All right, now we've filled our downtown area with our parks. So now we can go back in and fill in a lot more of our zoning. All right, so we also got the Iron Press building. This is I think a medium density building, signature building. Yep, it's a mixed residential building. It gives us +1 attractiveness citywide and also +4 well-being within 750 meters. So we're gonna put this right in our downtown. All right, we also unlocked Polaris Suites. All right, so now we can't forget about our underground parking building, which we're going to make. All right, so we're gonna place our underground parking building right here. Also, we can't forget about putting a small post office out here as well, which we're gonna place right here. All right, so our downtown area is shaping out. It's looking better and better and better the more I look at it. Before we get too deep, I do want to add in a bus area. Even though we have a bus station down here, it's just a small one. So I think we're gonna add in another bus station around our downtown area. Also, we can go ahead and connect our line to this area as well. All right, so the problem is our train station just isn't working for whatever reason. Through different things, for whatever reason, the pathfinding just isn't working. So what we're gonna try to do next is make 2 train stations close to each other. So we're gonna make this one here. All right, now we're gonna try to connect this train station with the other one just to see if it works. Oh, the pathfinding still is failing. I'm thinking honestly at this point, it's a station issue. So we're just gonna get rid of the station. We're gonna put a small station, a small train station instead. We're gonna try that. Finally, we have finally done our train line. Now we have a proper train line that comes from our downtown, has an extra stop here, and then goes here. So we're gonna hit play again, and we're just gonna let this run, and hopefully people start using this new train station that we labored on. And there's the first train that we have had come to our downtown area, dropped off some people, and it's right back out again. Very, very cool. All right, so let's keep building and filling out our downtown. So key with downtowns for me is walkability, which you'll see me put a lot of pavement paths throughout because I want the city to be as walkable as possible. All right, so the downtown is looking absolutely amazing so far. So our next step and something that I wanted to do down here was add a college. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna get rid of this little area. We're gonna add our college, which is gonna help us get more, more office demand. And it's gonna be really beneficial to us in the long run. And that leaves us space for in the future if we wanna build our library. We can add it right here and get rid of this road, and it shouldn't be too big of a problem. Actually, we might go ahead and do that right now. That way we know kind of what that area is for. And that's perfect. That's like just enough space for us to put our college library there in the future if you would like to, when we do plan to upgrade the college. All right, and as we come from our downtown, we're gonna slowly kind of get a little bit less dense in our building. So we're gonna start that off with, first of all, a office signature building called Principus, which gives us a 1% office efficiency, plus 5% interest in university education, plus 1% university graduation chance, and plus 5 well-being within 500 meters, and -2 crime rate within 500 meters. So we're gonna put that right here. It's gonna be like our little central office area. We're gonna add a little path next to it. And we're gonna build this area kind of like less dense, more medium density, more low residential. It's gonna be kind of like cozy, this little area. right, as you can see, we're just trying to balance out the area as much as we can. We're trying to do some low density and mix it in with a good variety of medium density as well. All right, so small issue while we're running into this off. That's why I'm doing all this kind of like as we go, because you get to see all the different problems that come as you're expanding out. First of all, there's a crap load of traffic, but I mean, in all honesty, a lot of this is taxis because there's so many people trying to move in, and because there's so many people trying to move in, the easiest way for them to get there is through taxi. Also, the other problem is we have electricity bottleneck, which it says there is not enough electricity transfer capacity at this point of the grid to deliver all the required power, meaning we need to create another way for power to get over here. To try to get rid of this bottleneck, we're going to create a transformer station. This transformer station is just going to allow another way for a power line to get through here. So now we're going to connect that up to our existing power line. We're going to hit play and see if it fixes our bottleneck. And as you see, it does, because now we have a high voltage way for our power to get over here. My goal, and possibly the goal for next episode, is going to be to expand this area and give ourselves a more distinct way to do power. Typically, I like something like the geothermal power plant, which I think we have enough progression points to get. Actually, we do. We're gonna go and get this emergency power station, and then we're gonna get the geothermal power plant. And just to check to see how good it's gonna do, it'll actually be perfect because we have our we have enough underwater availability to put it somewhere over here. So we're probably gonna get rid of our coal power plant next episode and put in this geothermal plant, which is gonna give us a lot more power. But that's the next episode issue. Also, before we forget, before my spill, we unlock milestone 11 Big City, which we get $275, 11 development points, and we also get 18 expansion permits. So we were actually making a huge leap in this episode going to Big City. What I was going to say is I wanted to make a park maintenance depot before we got too out of hand, just because I want to be able to have a facility that's going to go through and adjust our parks, make sure they're maintenance, because right now we don't have any, and I'm sure if we check some of these parks, their maintenance right now is complete trash. Exactly. We have a 0% for this park. So we're gonna go ahead and make a park maintenance depot before we completely use all of our available area. Money's still doing great. We're actually making a whole lot more than we was before. We're making 160 grand an hour, which is pretty cool. We're just going to continue to fill in some of these little areas and really just finish up zoning. Alright, so for now, that is the zoning done. I think it's a pretty good gradient. Like, kind of have it to where it kind of gets a little bit at its apex down here. Especially if you judge it from back here. It's kind of like a gradual progression up to our biggest tower, which is 297 Elm Street. And I think it's just, honestly, just one of my better downtown builds. I love it. A big part of it that we're gonna go into is detailing, because I mean, obviously this place needs way more trees. So we're gonna go through with some trees and we're just gonna kind of beautify everything. All right, now we have trees added. In the process, we also had something that burned down. I don't know why the police, I'm not sure why the fire people didn't get here in time, but hey. Look how beautiful that looks. Looks absolutely amazing. Our downtown is coming together so well. Now to finish off this episode, we're just going to make our bus system for our downtown, and that's really going to be it for today's episode. So we're going to go in, we're going to do this real quick and add in our bus system, add in some bus lines, and make sure that people can get around in our downtown properly. All right, so that is it for today. Look at our beautiful downtown. We've done so much to it. We also have a college. We have so many new service buildings, as well as our welfare office. We just did an awesome job this episode of just kind of completing this peninsula before we started to expand out into different areas. So from here, now you can look forward to us expanding into eventually our true downtown, which is going to be this area right here, which this area is really going to be like its whole little city. I'm adding a big low density residential area around here, and then eventually in the long term, adding in another big city with a downtown over in this area. Thank you guys for watching. This episode was one of my favorites ever. We just got so much done, and I really just appreciate you guys for everything that you do, for all the help that you've been giving to this channel, for supporting it. Leave a comment, subscribe, like. Thank you guys. See you soon.